Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Sunday Special. This week, we are going to be taking a look at all of Kasey Kahne's primary paint schemes throughout his entire career. I'm also going to have a couple of other oddballs in there, but for the most part, this is designated just to the standard scheme that ran for most of the season, or for the team most of the season that it ran for. So, we'll start here with his rookie season in 2004. This is the 2004 refresh car. The original car actually had black Dodge lines like here, going all the way back to the back of the car. They eventually stopped it here and then left these bright red, and then re-released the car. So they re-released it, and when they re-released it, it basically had that change to it. I don't know if there were any other changes. I think everything else looks about the same. His first race, or his first couple of races, the side was plain red, and they added this into the car a little bit later in the season. So anyway, that's his 2004 car. It's the Intrepid front end, or it's actually a Stratus front end, but they called it the Intrepid. But it is a pretty good paint scheme, honestly. It's a good Dodge car. You got obviously the rookie stripe. I hope to change this to an Elite at some point, but we'll get there when we get there. So we'll move on from 2004 to 2005. Not a ton changes. But it does have some differences. So the Dodge logo is a lot smaller. It's not quite as big. And then the lines are much darker. They're much more black. So you can see there how dark they are. These are obviously a little bit more kind of a faded line. And you see that big Ram logo on the back. Well, when you get over to this one, it's much more black and much easier to see. Still get the back where it's kind of red on that end there. Stanley jumped on as a sponsor, so they're up there. And then obviously the Dodge Charger front end. So you get the different nose on that car. This is an Elite, so I get all the fun extra details. You know, where I get, if I can get it popped open here, there's the hood. So I get the better engine detail in there. Got wicks under the hood there. And then, metal wheels and some other little things like that. But overall, paint scheme-wise, not a ton of changes, just mostly changing to the 2005 Dodge Charger nose. So in 2006, they definitely shook the paint scheme up. This paint scheme was run, and he won, I believe he won 4 races in this car, and including the Coke 600. And this car has obviously a big shakeup. You got the white side down the left here. You can see the red valence on the front. This is actually white in all the raced versions. That's why I got some vinyl and made some white valences out of them. But the white valence, but it was red on the show car. There's our number 9 Goodyear tires, all that fun junk. Stanley, they added the tape measure to this one, and I believe it was actually on the race win one too. So it was one of those mid-season ads. McDonald's jumped on as a sponsor in 2006 as well. We got Dodge dealers. Another big difference that you can tell as far as the Dodge cars, this is the only car that says Dodge dealers. The other ones all say see your local Dodge dealer and then Dodge. So let me pull the 2005 in. So it says see your local Dodge dealer, Dodge, this. This one says Dodge dealers and then that. And that is why I know the hood that I have is off of a 2006. Also, I was, told, but I could tell it was definitely a 2006 because Dodge dealers is what that hood said, versus, it's your local Dodge dealer. So, overall, it's a good paint scheme, and I'm going to go to part 2 of this car because he threw back to it in 2018 at Darlington. It also would unfortunately be his final race due to medical stuff. So you can see here the number 9 5, but they threw back to this car for Dumont jets, Procore and all them. But it's a very sharp looking scheme. It actually looks very, very good on the new style Gen 6 cars still. So it's definitely one of those cars, paint schemes that will be remembered for Kasey Kahne, even though he only ran it for one season. But so he threw back to that in 2018. I'm going to go ahead and put it back up out of the way because it doesn't really go in with this group of them. But let's move on to 2007. So in 2007, this car, oddly enough, I learned about the paint scheme change from somebody sending me a picture of a test car or something. But anyway, this is his 2007 car. New Dodge front end with a curved back headlight spot, so it's very rounded, and the front end really does kick back. There you see the front end plates. This is also an Elite. Let's see, I believe this comes down. Yep, sure does. Window net comes down, all that fun stuff because it's an Elite. But, ooh, that's not good. Let's go the other way. So if you never... See, I struggle. I struggle at times. Come on, get in there. There we go. There, all up in there and good. But anyway, it's white on the front, and then it curves up, and then goes to red. Now, Elliott Sadler had one as well, but I believe his went red to white, because the 9 and the 19 used to have inverse paint schemes. 2005, it was normal. 2006, Kahne had the white sides. He had Sadler or Mayfield at the start of the year had the black sides. 2007, this was the white hood with the red back, and then the other one was the red hood with the white back. So then they had the black numbers all around. No real new sponsors, nothing crazy like that. Let's go ahead and show you that 07 engine detail. It's actually even better than the 05, but how jealous it would be to have that detail back. Anyway, but that's our 07. There's a part 2 to this car, because in 07 they also went to the car of tomorrow. I have the car of tomorrow here. I'm looking to change this one to an Elite as well. This is an ARC. Same paint scheme, nothing changes there. We do have the Dodge Avenger front end, which will come into play later. Number 9 and everything on the side. Nothing real crazy here, but these car tomorrows from 07 seem to be either hit or miss. Sometimes they're really, really rare, and sometimes they're not that rare at all. So, I like that. I like having the 2 different cars that were run during that season. I think that's kind of cool to have the matching paint schemes. Then we're going to move on to 2008. So 2008, they went back to the Charger. He also picked up Budweiser as a full-time sponsor. Allstate was on there as well. Dodge dealers on the wing plate and down here on the corner panel, or right before the corner panel, I should say. Sprint Cup Series, no Coors Light Pole Award because it's a Budweiser car. There in the front, you see it says Charger, but that is the headlights and the nose from the Dodge Avenger. So they had to eventually change that, and they did midway through the season. They used the same mold for the rest of the season, but they just changed the way the grille was shaped and the headlights were shaped. But yeah, the 08 car, basically it's an all red Budweiser car with some black lines striped across the bottom. The reason that's notable is because we're going to show you the throwback car that he ran in the All-Star race to that, with the stripes across the bottom, number 9, and then it's just all red. It's an all-red car all around, and then I obviously added the spoiler, so I got the big rabbit ear spoiler on the back, but, yeah, so that car had the black skirts, and other than that, plain red. I'll just move that off to the side because that one didn't really belong in there anyway. It's a good throwback. I like to show it off, but, doesn't belong. So on the next car, this is our 2009. This one is all red everywhere. It is red on basically everywhere you can look. There's no stripes on the bottom. There's no marks anywhere that change the color of the car from red. It's basically red everywhere it can be. So you got Dodge dealers, Budweiser. You'll notice Allstate is no longer on board. Freightliner joined on, Best Buy joined on, a couple other sponsors, because this is when they switched to RPM. So Richard Petty Motorsports bought this team in early 2009, or I think it was 2009. Or 2008, late 2008, somewhere in that range. That was when the Evernham split was going on, and they had to sell the team, and yeah, that was a mess. Anyway, this is how you can see where the actual Dodge Charger nose comes in. Again, you can still see this is the Dodge Avenger mold. You can actually see how the mold doesn't really match the decaling. It doesn't look terrible, but they did still have to eventually change that mold so that it fit the right car. But there you see, we do still have the Dodge Avenger headlights as well. The Dodge Charger headlights look a little bit different. I don't know. I don't think any of my other cars will have it, so I have to go back and find another car tomorrow. But I think those headlights are still wrong. Metal plate. This one is autographed, and it is an Elite still. Later in the year, they would change this car and have Frito Olays back here, or I believe Best Buy would ride on the corner panel a couple times. In his Sonoma win, I think that's where it is. And then the splitter would change to white later in the year. And you'll know that because I'm going to move on to 2010. And in 2010... Richard Petty Motorsports switched their team from Dodge to Ford, and they ran the white splitter on this car. 2010, he ran the Olympic scheme. Everybody kind of remembers that. He won the duel in it. It was kind of a bright white Budweiser car. But other than that, this was his car for the year. It was a red Ford Fusion. As you can see, we got some decal grill stuff down there, but the white splitter's on there. This is autographed as well. The Budweiser logo is much smaller on the side. It's kind of, I don't know, looks kind of ugly to me. This Budweiser logo needed to be much bigger. So I don't know if that was how they ran it on the track or if they just did that for fun, but no sponsor on the wing plate. Barely any sponsors. You can see they were starting to run into some trouble. There you see Budweiser on the rear. Right side probably all the same, but yeah, it started to struggle. You see this car has a lot of red, and there's not a lot of sponsors because Dodge jumped off, and then, as I said, 2010 was rough, and he didn't even finish out the year there, which is why I'm going to bring you to the next car which is another 2010. He didn't run it very often, but it is still a primary scheme, so I'm going to count it as a primary scheme. And this is the 2010 Red Bull car I just did a review on earlier this week. This was where he took over for Brian Vickers, so you can see he's got Brian Vickers and Kasey Kahne's signatures up on the name rail. The red wheel on the back, but this is the car that he rode for, I believe it was like 3, 4, 5 races somewhere. It was the last half of the chase. Sat on the pole at Homestead, but this, basically he got a head start, jumped over to Red Bull early because of that, and then obviously he knew he was done at RPM, and it just wasn't working out over there anymore. So he went over to the 83 car, and they started working towards next year. But he rode this car for about 5 races. So not a primary car. He didn't run it that much, but he did run it enough. I mean, and it was a primary, so I'll still count it because it was with a new team as well. So we're going to move on to 2011, and this one I also had a video on earlier this week, and that's because I finally tracked down my grail. My main Kahne car I could not get for a long time, and that's the 2011 Red Bull Elite. I have the ARC. I'm looking at either turning that into a Phoenix Custom. I have a Phoenix Custom. I got to make my decision which one I'm going to keep, and then one will hit the eBay page. But anyway, I did finally get the Elite. This one is not going anywhere. You can see we got the Red Bull car, the number 4. The font on this number 4 is the same as his sprint car team. I love this car for that reason. The Red Bull scheme looks great. It's a very clean-cut car. There's not a, they didn't put a bunch of sponsors all over it. It was kind of a Red Bull-funded ordeal. We got the signature on the windshield, and then you go to the right side, same as the left, but as I said, this number 4 was awesome. The only thing I will say on this car is I'm glad that they made the change they did to it. I'm going to show you right now what the original render of the car was, and here it is. The original render of the car was supposed to have white numbers, and I'm not going to lie, that blue number on the side looks 10 times better. So, good move on that, changing it to a blue number. It looks really, really good, and this is a grail now, but it's one of the best looking cars from that era. So we're going to move on now to his venture when it ended at Red Bull. He moved over to Hendrick, and he started driving the number 5 car, and this is his first Farmers Insurance car. This is the car I saw run at Pocono, and unfortunately hit the wall at Pocono. He's running well that day, but won at New Hampshire in this car as well. But anyway, it's the number 5. It's flat gray mixed with a gloss blue, so it's kind of an interesting paint scheme. But you can see it's a darker blue and then that gray color. It actually lightened up throughout the year. They kind of moved that blue to a little bit brighter tone. But overall, it's not a terrible paint scheme. Just got Farmers on there. Quaker State were the 2 sponsors that ran. I think Rockwell started running later in the year. And then I believe he ran Hendrick Cars once, and that's the 4 paint schemes from 2012. So he didn't run a ton of paint schemes in 2012. But by 2013, he was picking up more sponsors, or maybe losing sponsors, because he ran a lot more schemes. But his primary was still Farmers Insurance. That's this car here. This was the original Gen 6 car, so the hood was with that weird style hood where it actually seals up really well on all of the sides. But then you had to pop, pull, pop, and then it would open, where obviously it made way more sense to just go back to the old style hinges and do that. So they went back to that midway through the season. But it's a brighter blue. We've got Farmers on there. It's also got that silver kind of stripe going down the left side. Time Warner cable. Great Clips jumped on board. Farmers Insurance is still on there. I believe it was the year after this, Pepsi jumped on board as well. So there were some schemes in that 2013 season that looked pretty good, but he started running more paint schemes throughout the 2013, or after the 2013 season. So anyway, I'll put that one in there. We'll go ahead and move on to to the 2014 car. This is the Farmers Insurance car, but it's a little bit darker. So we'll point these out. So if you look at this car, it's a darker blue again. They kind of went back to the original blue, but they went to a different Farmers logo. So they had the actual Farmers and then this little, whatever that is. Down the left side, same paint scheme, but it's just instead of the blue and silver, it's blue and lighter blue and red. Farmers, same sponsors are all there. I think, as I said, they added Pepsi Max later in the year. But you have Great Clips back here on the deck lid that wasn't there before. So overall, the big changes that wouldn't stick, the numbers would get bigger. This spoiler would become black instead of red. And then as far as the difference between this one and the one he won with at Atlanta. But overall, pretty solid scheme. He ran fairly well in 2014, honestly. I mean, I know it was a down year because all the other Hendrick cars are winning a lot, and he was not running well. But he did have good speed. He just had a tough time getting the car getting in victory circle. He was, I think we all remember that Brickyard where Jeff Gordon won, but he dominated that day and got beat on one restart, and that was kind of the end of it. So that was, unfortunately, with the 2014 package, track position meant a lot, and his strategy was not good to keep him in that position, and they needed to do a better job of staying out and taking more chances like that to get that track position. But 2015, they did a fan vote on who could win, who got to design the car. This was the new designed car, the black and blue. This car would run for 3 years, and you can see it was the gloss. This was the only year it was gloss. They then switched back to a matte, or to a matte. There you see the Kahne on the windshield banner was pretty big. Farmers, Time Warner Cable, Great Clips are all still on there. I don't think there's anything really crazy with this car that I'm missing. As I said, it was a gloss car. It actually looks really, really sharp. I actually really like it in gloss. This is the last Kasey Kahne that ran an Elite, or that they made an Elite for the 5 car, for the standard scheme. So I hope to find this one, 2014, 2013, 2012. I got some work to do, but that's part of the fun of collecting is finding them all. So, as I said, in 2016, they did move to the matte color. So you got the matte finish. It looks way better. I really like this car. I think the matte finish looks a lot better. The blue is a little bit brighter here on the rear of the car. You see we got on the front, Farmers Insurance, same logo that they had from 2014. And overall, this paint scheme is pretty good. 2016 was one of his worst seasons. I don't think he led a single lap. So it was a really rough season in 2016. But it was a pretty solid looking car. It was a very, base paint scheme. It was nice to have the same paint scheme for 2 years in a row. Unfortunately, it just didn't win a lot and didn't run well. Moving into 2017, no changes on the car itself, but you can notice a lot more empty space on this car. Great Clips announced they were leaving after this 2017 season, and so was Farmers, and basically they let Kahne go a year early because of that. Time Warner had already jumped off. I think, what was the other one called? The overhead, it was doors. Gosh dang it, I can't remember. Liftmaster had jumped off. You see I added the Monster Energy banner on the windshield and on the side here for the Monster Energy Cup Series because it was a Hendrick deal. They wouldn't put Monster Energy on there, but I wanted it on there. So, but yeah, a lot of space on there. Still the same. It's the matte black finish. Blue is a little bit darker, but not too many overall changes to it. He won the Brickyard in this car, so they did make that car an Elite, which I was really happy with. But yes, they did not make the standard cars in Elite. They were having trouble selling his cars was one thing, but also they started offering them in the Gold series, which nobody liked, and so nothing sold well. I'm 100% convinced if they had offered his white Mountain Dew car from 2017 in Elite, it would have made the production number, but they offered it in Gold. And I mean, even I did not order it. I was like, oh, I want to get that car, and then I saw it in Gold. I'm like, oh gosh, I don't want that. Gold cars were awful, especially in that season. The Gold cars were awful. Anyway, let's move on to the final car on the list. His final season was run with Levine Family Racing in the 95 Procore car. This is kind of the standard. He also ran the WRL construction car a decent amount, so it's between them two, but this car was the one he ran at Daytona. They actually ran a reverse version of it with the white hood and black on the back for the Clash. But this was basically his final primary paint scheme of his career. Obviously, health kind of sidelined him. Gosh darn, antennas chipped up the decals around there, so I may look at getting another one. But yeah, this is the final car on there. It's a good-looking car. He had a lot of good-looking cars in this 95. Between having, I believe it was Blackbeard Designs, I think is who did his designs, and they looked absolutely phenomenal. I think they were some of the best paint schemes probably ever. I'm definitely biased on that, but I think they did look really, really, really good. And I hate when I ding my cars. I really don't like doing that. But anyway, the schemes look great. He does all the paint schemes for his sprint car team. And James McFadden this year, by the way, will be running a really, really cool blue number 9 car, so I can't wait to see that on track. But overall, this is kind of the overall set of Kasey Kahne cars, primaries. Not all of them would be considered primaries. I'm sure there's people out there that don't have certain cars, or maybe only have maybe have more, I don't know. But that is the set. Most people won't have that 83. That's a custom. And then other than that, most of these are just basic primary cars. Obviously there's 2 2007s, but this is all his career. Before I finish this off, let's go ahead and look at these career card. So here you go. You can see his career. He had 529 Cup starts, 18 wins, 93 top 5s. 176 top 10s, which means 1 out of every 5 races he was in the top 10. Not great, but also I think that was really hurt by his final 4 years of his career. Average finish 17.7, 14.4. He had 27 poles and led almost 5,000 laps. As I said, the one thing about his career is that basically his career up to this point was actually much, much better. He had basically 4 full seasons, or almost 4 full seasons, with very few top 5s, very few top 10s, and only the 1 win. So you take out almost 120 starts, and you're looking at only 400 starts, 17 wins, and, that top 5 and top 10 thing doesn't go down as far. So his career up before that was much, much better, and then basically they swapped from Kenny Francis to Keith Rodden, and Keith Rodden was not cut out for that position. They just struggled too much. So anyway, that's going to wrap up this video. Let me know your favorite of the Kasey Kahne standard paint schemes. Let me know your memories in there in the comments below. Hope you guys have enjoyed the Sunday special this week. Stay safe out there. This has been Race Craze, and we'll see you in the next Diecast review.